Hey, it's Bob Nagin, and if you're frustrated with your team, occasionally or regularly, this episode of Real Retail is for you. So a few weeks ago, I was talking to a client who signed up for the Retail Sales Academy, our online sales training program. And they knew that if their team members were trained and if they knew that if they used the 6 steps to the perfect purchase on the floor, that their customers were going to get a better experience, that their average ticket was going to go up, that everybody was going to be happier, and that life would become rosy. But here's what they said. What they said to me was, we can't get our people to do it. Now, this is a pretty big organization. And my reply is, what do you mean you can't get your people to do it? You give them a paycheck in exchange for them doing what you want them to do. Am I correct? And they said, yes. You see, what was happening is those employees, those team members, didn't feel the need to do what their managers told them to do. So what I suggested to these people, this person and his team, was that they make going through, completing every lesson, getting to basic certification, a non-negotiable standard. So a non-negotiable standard is defined as a standard to which everybody adheres to in exchange for their paycheck. In other words, it's okay if you don't want to do this, but you'll no longer work here. Non-negotiable. This isn't a negotiation. I don't care if you want to go through the lessons. I don't care if you like the lessons. It is non-negotiable that you do the training. It is non-negotiable that you pass the test. It is non-negotiable that you get to basic certification. It's non-negotiable. If you don't want to do it, go away. See, and here's what happens when you have non-negotiable standards, is pick a handful of non-negotiable standards and make sure that you as an owner or you as a manager enforce, pay attention to, drive home those standards. And as those standards become part of your culture, all of a sudden the culture is going to shift to the positive. So for instance, at the Mackinac Kite Company, one of our non-negotiable standards was that you are on the floor ready to sell when your shift starts. That's a non-negotiable standard. So how did I enforce that? I learned a little trick. Whenever anybody walked into out onto the floor, I would look at my watch. And I didn't say anything. I'd look at my watch. They saw me look at my watch. They knew I was paying attention to whether they knew I was paying attention to the non-negotiable standards that I had set. And if they were on time, no problem. I'd give them a wink or a high five or a hi, how you doing, or whatever. If they weren't on time, I enforced it. They immediately were taken to the back and they were written up. The disciplinary action process was put into action. So this idea, non-negotiable standards, before I understood this concept, I would ask people to do things and hope that they did it. When I learned about the non-negotiable standards, when I heard the words, I now had a concept to hang my hat on. And often that's all we need, is we need a concept, the words, the ideas made concrete that makes it much easier and better to use. So your action items, should you choose to accept them, are to sit down and with your team, especially your key members, and A.D.D, ask, discuss, and decide what are 3, 4, maybe 5, but I like starting with 3 non-negotiable standards. Pick 3 non-negotiable standards that will either eliminate frustration or take advantage of opportunities. They could be things like be on time, or in my case, be on the floor, ready to sell when your shift starts. It could be things like pick up the trash on your way in. It could be things like every customer is invited to join the loyalty program. I don't know your business, but every business has frustrations and opportunities. And pick the biggest frustration or the biggest opportunities. Pick 3 of them. And then really, you and your managers, if you're a manager, you and the important players on your team, make sure that every non-negotiable standard is adhered to. If people don't want to do it, there has to be consequences. Now people go, I can't afford to lose anybody. I can't do, there are all of these moments of fear surrounding it. Here's what I can tell you, that when you start to enforce your non-negotiable standards, the people who don't want to play along, the people who don't want to come with you on your journey to greatness are going to go away. They're going to opt out, or they're going to be fired because they're not adhering to your non-negotiable standards. And the people who do want to come with you to a better place are going to come along. They're going to respect you for being a stronger leader. They're going to respect you for communicating more clearly. They're going to respect you for building the kind of structure in which they can thrive. So again, non-negotiable standard, a standard that everybody, including you, adheres to in exchange for their employment. Pick 3, 4, absolutely no more than 5. Make sure that you are dead serious about making sure that they are adhered to every single time, and watch your business grow. Watch your business change. Watch your culture solidify around competence. So, your action items, get that done. Put a couple of them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about non-negotiable standards. I'm Bob Nagin, and I'll see you next week.